Oh, hey, I have an En Route with Jude segment, but I want to run it by you first because I think it's funny, but I'm not sure if it's like quote unquote appropriate. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So it was Wednesday last week. I was on my way back from Medford. I had completed the last delivery, and I was in like Canyonville, where Seven Feathers is, and there was a semi truck getting onto I-5, and there was people in the left lane, and so I was kind of stuck in the right lane, and so it's that awkward situation where I start to speed up, but then they do, and so then I try to slow down, and they do, and like he's just But then I realized he's just like matching me for no reason whatsoever, and so like I'm speeding up, and the guy's just looking at me. He's not like angry or like confused. He's just looking at me. So I don't know what to do. So I slammed on my brakes. The guy behind me had to slam on his brakes, and it created this giant chain of events. And they all got mad at me, clearly by the horns being honked. And so he gets on and then just keeps going. And I was so confused. But so later, I just kind of zone out. You know, while you're driving, I'm not like conscious. I'm just behind the wheel of the vehicle. Now he's just in front of me a bit, and I'm just brain dead driving. And then I realized, oh wait, the guy in front of me, that's the guy. And so I get up next to him, and I was like, I was going to try and make eye contact to see, like, because if he looked at me and was mad, then I would know, okay, he wasn't like trying to be mean or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I got up to him, I kind of looked over at him, and he looked at me and then just smiled at me and then just kept going forward.
That's cool.
I was really mad. like he's a semi.
Like
he could
a
have crushed
smile
me.
or just
like a smug smile. Oh. Like he could have crushed me. Like he was playing some kind of game on the interstate. And so I got in front of him, and I knew coming up there was this spot where usually traffic gets kind of dense.
Right.
And so I was in front of him, and I waited till cars were all on his left side, and we're in the right lane. And I know coming up, there's this part where the guardrails got broken off. And so as we're going to that corner, I slammed on my brakes. So he had no option but to swerve into the people on the left and kill them, or drive off the edge of this cliff. And so, of course, he drives off the cliff because he's not going to run into these people. And I'm just watching in my side mirror as the semi goes tumbling down the hill, and then it clicks. He's carrying like a thing of propane behind him. And so, dude, the whole thing goes up and like he's dead. Right. Like he's definitely dead. The whole thing goes up in flames. And I'm just like, people pull over, and there's people like racing after me because it was very obvious what I did, which was kind of like deservedly so. But then I just kept going, and I watched the entire thing explode in the rearview mirror. What? Yeah. What? That was like the only exciting thing that happened that week.
Jude, hang on.
What?
That's absolutely not okay. I was kind of laughing because I thought it was a bit. Towards the end, that's not even a funny bit. Like, that's not something that we can put on the podcast to share. In no way does that share any polite, appropriate Christian values.
That was a bit, right? You're looking at us like you're confused. That was a bit, right?
Absolutely not. No, this happened. He's dead. Like, there's a dead guy. Oh, shoot. Okay, I figured this might happen. A ton of people were chasing the van, and they were like recording it, and I was afraid they might have gotten the plates. Don't worry, I have something for this.
Jude, is that a gun?
Jude, why are the cops here?
Relax. It's not a real gun. I'm just going to take you guys hostage.
What?
Air quotes. Chill out. Let me finish. Okay, I'm not done talking. Rude. I'm going to point it at the cop. I'm going to take you hostage. I'll explain the situation.
It looks like a real gun.
And then once he drops his gun, I'll explain it to him.
What do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to explain it to him, and maybe he'll find it funny, unlike you plebs. Okay? So, this is part of my plan, all right? Here we go.
I don't like this, dude.
I've got 2 hostages and a weapon, and I plan to use it. Drop your weapon!
All right, so roll the intro.
Evening, officer. Is something wrong?
Just keep your hands where I can see them. Routine traffic stop. We got reports of someone driving under the influence. You know anything about that?
No, I'm only under one influence.
What's that?
The influence of Jesus.
It's time for Under the Influence.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
A bit about. I was already chewing a pickle, so it ruined it.
Gosh dang it. We can never get a good start. Shall we start again?
Dude, we always get a good start.
Go.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jude from your friendly neighborhood Under the Influence podcast. I'm one of your favorite three hosts. My name's Jude. Hi. From Under the Influence podcast, I'm one of your three hosts, Jude, joined by our two favorite co-hosts,
Jerry.
Levi.
and I'm Jude. Welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence, the official Christian Influence podcast.
Yeah, this week's a little bit more tame, I guess. Typically, Jude starts it off with a good WWE style scream.
It's like 99 degrees in the room we're in.
It is,
and
yeah.
I'm dying.
Yeah. And you're
Instead,
not 99 degrees?
I'm 99 degrees. I'm going to end the podcast with that energy.
We'll see. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you for listening. I believe this is episode 20, which is pretty crazy. We've started basically the last 3 episodes by saying this is the episode, and that's crazy. So we can't stop now.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it is
It's
pretty
like our
cool.
thing now. So
It is, yeah. So we'll be on like episode 56, and we'll be like, man, this is episode 56. That's pretty crazy.
What's
It
up?
always
I'm
gets
Jude's great-great-grandson. This is episode 12,072.
Yeah.
And that's
pretty
crazy.
crazy.
Hang on, that would be pretty interesting.
The world is on fire. I knew you were immediately going to look at the chronologicalness of episode 12 million and whatever, and then be like, if that's my great-grandson, and now you're just waiting to pounce on my illogicalness.
No,
This is a hostile work environment.
you're entirely incorrect. What I was actually going to say, first I needed to do something, and then I was no. What I was actually going to say was, it would be pretty interesting to have like something like this, like a podcast or something or some sort of show, right? That as we grow old and we have children, well, reverse that. As we get older, have children, and then grow old and can't do this anymore, to have children take this exact show and keep doing it.
That would be really cool.
The media, like the form, would be entirely different.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
It
you don't
would-
think
it
in
would
like
be,
50 years? I don't know, 30 years?
Everyone's going to be
People-
deaf in 30 years, so podcasts won't be around. Instead, it'll get transmitted right into your Cyberlink
Well,
chip.
there'll be sign language. You'll have little ocular implants that have somebody signing in front of you.
Translucent.
And here's a
signing
sneak peek at our intro in sign language. There you go.
So I think that's going to stick.
Yeah.
If not,
Stop pulling that out. It scares me.
whoa. I have the soundboard.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think I started this by saying thank you for listening. But yeah, we really do sincerely mean that. Thank you for listening. It means a lot to us. We have a lot of fun doing this, and we have a lot of fun talking to you about it. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, you can talk to us about the show online, various places, Twitter at CI Games XYZ, Facebook at Under the Influence Podcast, it's Under the Influence of Jesus or something like that. But if you just look up Under the Influence Podcast, you'll find us on Facebook. And then on our website, christianinfluence.net, you can use some message boards on there like it's, 1992.
Are we on AOL?
No, I don't think anything is.
Are we on LinkedIn?
No, I think
Soon to
things
be
more
on
official
LinkedIn.
than us are.
And you can quote me on that.
Soon to be on LinkedIn. Yeah, you'll be able to find Jude's LinkedIn profile.
Yep.
And talk to him there.
And his
Growing up in the 90s, a
prostitutes.
lot of us had LinkedIn profiles.
Nope.
And that was kind of the cool thing for Instagram and
I don't
Facebook.
know if
and all
LinkedIn
you
was a
young
thing
kids.
in the 90s.
I don't
Sure
think
it was. Sure it was,
Okay.
like 99.
99? You think 19... Well,
Uh-oh.
I know I'm going to do this thing where I go to
He's
Google.
gonna fact check me.
I know I go to Google and Jude hates it, but here we go.
I don't get it. Every time Jerry just looks
When
something up, and we
get
gotta be
linked
right or wrong.
in
We can't just have our own
store.
truths.
Yeah, I like just having the fun of it.
2002. All right.
Hey, that's
Hey,
the
he was
year
3.
I was actually born.
Oh, wait a second. What does that mean?
Then I
Are you actually LinkedIn?
yeah.
You are
The physical embodiment of LinkedIn.
Yeah, I became self-aware and built a flesh suit.
kind of like not only is Mark Zuckerberg the owner and creator of Facebook, allegedly,
He is
but he's
also
also
an
the
alien.
physical incarnation of it.
That would explain his difficulty in social circumstances
Yeah.
And his gratuitous deformities.
and how much he was sweating during that trial.
By deformities, I mean the fact that his
The new meta.
His skin
Look
is
at my favorite thing in the new
pale
meta.
white and his body is in the shape of an F. Nothing, dude.
My arms are broken and only point to
And
my
my
right side.
neck is stuck to the side and my head is downward.
He's a cool-looking guy.
He is. He likes to smoke meats.
I like to smoke meat.
Whoa. Mark Zuckerberg, is that you?
Oh, hey guys.
Dude, Mark Zuckerberg just walked in the door.
Hi. Would you guys like to try some of my smoked meats?
Yeah, dude. I would
Here.
love to try.
Yeah.
I keep it in this thermos.
You keep smoked meat in a thermos? Oh.
This is a prime rib from an unidentified sentient life.
Oh. I've never
Oh.
had any sentient life meat.
You wouldn't, Jerry. That's because you don't eat like I do.
How do you eat? How do you eat?
Like anyone else, I suppose.
All right, well,
Yeah, that's a killer Mark Zuckerberg impression.
what impression? All right, Mark Zuckerberg. Well, we've got a show we got to finish up, so we'll have to talk to you later, but you should come back sometime.
I'm going to go bury my toes in the sand.
Nice. I wish I could. All right. Hey, on your way out, tell Jude to come back in.
Okay. Hey, Mark. Hi, Jude.
All right, guys, I'm back.
Good. That Mark guy,
Off his rocker.
Yeah, that guy's crazy.
he looks just like you, though. What were we talking about before? Oh, we were
We got a lot of
talking
things
about...
to talk about.
Yeah, we were talking about Skyrim Together Reborn.
Whoa.
Whoa.
For those of you that don't know, Skyrim's a video game.
Video game.
Skyrim Together Reborn is a mod. Skyrim came out in 2011, and it's a hit
Before
masterpiece video
Jude
game.
was even born.
That's true, before I was born.
Yep.
And it's a great game. A lot of people like it, but it's single player. It's
people
big open
like
world.
it.
A lot of people like it, and I like it. And I've always thought, man, I wish I could play this with other people, Reborn. And so they made the mod Skyrim Together Reborn, and now you can play it with other people. And we three kings of Orient are planning to play it with each other.
Yeah, with a resident fellow
Guy in the chair.
Guy. Yep. No, it's a really fun game, and the one thing it's missing is playing it with people.
Yeah. And there have been talks about putting a mod together that would.
This mod has been in the works for years.
It's been
No,
it's
it's
been
not.
around for years. It came out when we were like freshmen in high school or sophomores in high school.
Not
It's
really
just-
came out.
no, it worked, but it was really buggy. Now it's back, hence the Reborn.
It was open
Well,
source,
it
and it
was-
was available since
there-
basically its conception, but it wasn't.
There were multiple like groups that have been trying to create
Yeah.
one like this, and
Yeah, but there's one that worked called Skyrim Together, and it's the same people that made this one.
It worked very, very poorly to the point where no one really used it. And then they finally got it
Sure.
functioning well. And now they've
Yeah,
finished
they
it.
completely rebuilt it from the ground up,
Yes.
is my understanding.
This is true.
But I know that the one that came out when we were in high school is the same people that made this one.
oh,
Yeah, that's why it's
Okay.
named the same thing, Skyrim Together, but Reborn. Because what they did is they took what they had made before and they remade it using, I don't know, new technology or something. But I know that they remade it. And it's the same group of guys from out of the country. I don't know where they're from. I want to say like South Africa, but I'm not sure. But I watched a bunch of Let's Plays and stuff of people playing Skyrim Together way back when it first came out.
Yeah.
And being like, this looks like so much fun. But I was like, I don't know how to do mods or anything like that. But now, within like the last month or two, it came out again. They re-released it with this entire new build, and it actually looks promising. And it's very easy to set up. Whereas before, it was difficult. Now it's just a couple quick clicks. You got it downloaded.
It's the future of video games.
Unless you're Jude. Jude can't figure it out, but whatever.
I tried really hard.
But I mean, he's new to technology.
I am pretty new to technology. I was born in 2012.
He's just lived in a shed until now. Now he lives in a shed with a computer in it.
There you go.
And insulation.
Hand installation.
Hand insulation.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll be able to record, stream, and everything else you could possibly imagine.
Yeah,
and that's
that'd be a
some
lot
more
of fun.
content for Christian Influence. Man,
That's the plan.
we're
I'll
just
stream
pumping
it.
Christian Influence full of content. If you aren't a member of the Discord or the community in general, I encourage you, I implore you, nay, I command you
Whoa.
to get involved and have fun with the people.
Put it away, Jude. Yeah, I mean, we are looking forward to that element of it. Like, I will be streaming it, and then we'll be cutting together some footage from it and making some, I think, a fun series out of it from the four of us playing. One of us, I won't say who, has never even played Skyrim, period. And so it'll be an entirely new experience, which I think it'll be fun for the three of us to guide them through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
I wonder who that. I wonder who's the one
Guys,
that hasn't played.
how do I attack? And why do I attack? Well, here's what
No,
you
I
do.
think it'll be really fun. And I'm gonna do full magic. I gotta stick to my brand.
Wow.
I'm gonna go full mage.
Yeah, that's who he is.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing but magicka.
So
I don't even know if
unchristian.
I'll. What?
So unchristian.
I know. I don't even know if I will wear armor.
Ooh, no armor.
No robes that enhance me.
No robes. Just nothing. Nothing but the loincloth and the hair on my head.
Yeah.
I'm going to go magic and shield. So on one hand, I'm going to have a shield to hit people over the head with. And on the other hand, I'm going to be able to heal myself from all the hitting other people.
Yep.
And then I'm going to let all my friends do the actual killing.
I'm gonna take a big stick that I have to wield with two hands and just whack people with it.
Yeah. And guy in the chair will do
Diplomacy.
whatever makes sense
Diplomacy.
at the time. He's never going to fight.
Hey, you don't have to do this as we just come in and just start clobbering.
Yep.
He's going to collect flowers. Every flower in the game.
And then he's gonna look up at a butterfly. Ooh, I want to put that into a little thing, and then tear the wings off of it.
Oh yeah, because when you
horror.
catch them,
Yeah.
that's
how it
terrifying.
works.
But yeah, speaking of video games, and speaking of streaming them / doing series of video games, I recently set up this new thing on my Twitch streams called Stream Avatars. It's like this this thing where when you're in the chat watching the stream, you get an avatar on the stream that walks around and stuff. And it's just a way that you can kind of interact with the stream if you're a viewer. And then there's some commands like jump, dance, random stuff like that. But mini games will happen, like battle royales where everybody's little avatars fight each other. And then while you watch, or if you win those games, you get gold that you can spend on cooler looking avatars. So it's just a thing for people to have interaction with the stream, to give them something else to do while they watch or whatever they're doing. But there's this really cool function, I think, called raid battles, where you get a boss that flies in or whatever, like an old video game style, with an overlay and stuff. He shows up across the stream, and then everybody's avatars line up and they fight it like an old video game, like an old RPG. And I tried it out last time I did a live stream, and it was fun, but I hadn't fully configured it. After that stream, I went in and I added sound effects and all this cool stuff. And it's all a bunch of those sound effects from the stuff we're going to be using from the D&D podcast.
Wow.
So now, I also changed it so that the avatars, they're all Marvel characters that people can choose. And then there's a bunch of different bosses that can randomly summon if I do a boss fight. And one of them is Rathalos, the dragon from Monster Hunter World. But it's just cool. It was fun. Now, next time I stream, which I might do it tonight, there will be a boss fight that people can can interact with and stuff, and it could be like this giant dragon that swoops in, and I have like epic battle music and all this stuff for people. So it's kind
One
of
of
fun.
the bosses is fully voiced by yours truly, myself.
Yeah, I don't think I
it's-
could do that.
Huh?
I can't do that.
You can. We did it. We spent a lot of time on it. I voice Ronald Reagan. He flies in with a pair of bat wings.
With a pair of bat wings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun streaming lately again, and that's just a new little thing I did. But it's kind of fun when it happens now because there's like this, cool epic battle music that plays for the people on stream that they get to interact with. But yeah,
Everybody's lurking except for one guy, and then he has to go up against it on his own and just
because you have to engage.
die.
You have to you have to type in commands for what you want your avatar to do in the fight. So if 10 people are, you also have to choose to join the fight. If you're just there, you won't join the fight.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
It'll
just
fill it
the-
with NPCs.
Oh, okay.
I can turn that off so that if nobody
So then
joins,
it's just
it
the
is
one
just
guy.
one guy. Yeah, most of the time it would probably just be your boy.
Just gets roasted.
Yeah, he's my most faithful viewer. Your boy, Be Young, and Spiral. 3 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a new development on the Christian influence content front, I suppose. Yeah,
You like Minecraft?
relatively.
How about you, Levi?
Yes, I do.
Good answer. Now, I can't say much now.
But for everybody else, what is Minecraft?
What is Minecraft? It's a game of blocks, monsters, and unrequited
monsters.
love. And I can't say much now, but
then
let's
don't.
say hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
Christian Influence had a YouTube channel.
Whoa.
What would we put on it?
I don't know.
Long streams, just straight uploaded into videos? Maybe, perhaps. But what about... No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to hit that.
But what about something different? Ooh. What about something a little more edited, manicured? Perhaps even a video.
You got it.
I'm looking for a word, and I can't find it.
Find the word. You'll get there.
I won't. There might be some a bulk of content going up on perhaps a YouTube channel soon, and a Minecraft Let's Play between a certain guy in a chair and a certain favorite co-host of Under the Influence,
Me.
Levi TC. Just stuff to look forward to, stuff to get interested in.
Interested in. Yeah, that'll be fun. And I think the first episode of it will probably go on our Patreon first.
Oh yeah, they get first access because they
help us out a lot.
They're the real ones.
The real ones.
They are the real ones.
They do help us out a lot. In fact, do we have some Patreon supporters to shout out?
You stupid dummy. No, I was going to do that in the intro monologue bit because
big duty
I couldn't
dummy
log
head.
into my Patreon account.
Either this will get cut.
Yeah, it better get cut because if it doesn't,
It makes
dude, I love this in the soundboard now. It's so great.
I don't like having it on the soundboard.
Oh, it's amazing. And this
I
one
don't like
too.
what it.
it made me initially uncomfortable because it sounded real.
Oh,
Like it was
really?
just in the room, and
Oh, no.
I was looking away when you first clicked it, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Who just walked in? Yeah. Cool. Well, did we have a real on Route with Jude segment today?
Actually, something happened today.
Oh,
It was
really?
pretty interesting. Yeah.
Whoa,
Well, then in that case,
Oh yeah.
On route with Jude.
I kind of like how the scream faded into oblivion in that one. It got a lot
Yeah,
quieter.
it
It
was
was nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
nice.
I've been getting breakfast en route because I'm trying to eat more.
well, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of crazy, kind of quirky.
Bulking up,
Yeah.
something in
Oh,
particular.
you're not doing anything weird in order to bulk up, are you?
What does that even mean?
You know what it means.
Oh, you're talking about drinking egg whites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you just drinking straight uncooked egg whites?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pasteurized, so it's safe.
But still, I walked in the other day into the house and I look over at him, and it's just this.
This is not what the segment is about.
I don't care. It's this clear crystal glass full of egg whites, and they look foul. Like weird little white floaties in there. This disgusting, like.
Dude, it
like,
just tastes like milk and salt.
And you're just
And
standing
she's like,
there
"It's great, man. It
in
tastes
front
like
of
milk."
the fridge open, just guzzling it in your boxers and just egg white coming down
I
the
had to be
sides
in
of
my
your face.
boxers.
And you're just like,
What?
Yeah. And then he was like, "You try it. It just tastes like milk." And then I tried it, and I was like, "Oh." In a weird way, you're right, but
know.
it's like milk and salt, but like not
And
salt.
thick?
It's like milk and sweat.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's kind of flavorless.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's kind of flavorless, besides the flavor we just gave it.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
milk and sweat.
I was getting breakfast at McDonald's this morning, and
Is that where you get your pasteurized egg whites?
They sell that out of the fountain. Can I get a large drink, please? Sure.
Somebody accidentally gets their soda and it's just pasteurized egg whites.
Carbonated.
I pulled up to the ordering machine window where the robot talks to you, and it took like 5 minutes for the robot
Those
to
are
talk to me.
people.
No, yeah, they're people, I know. And then finally, this guy was like, "Hey, welcome to McDonald's. Can I get your order?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, can I get a whatever number 2 oatmeal hash brown?" Blah blah blah. And he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll have you at the window."
That's weird.
I was like, "Okay,
I'll have you at the window?
yeah." And then I got to the window, and
He must be really hungry.
I didn't even pay attention to what the total of my order was, because it didn't even get rung up on like the fancy menu.
It never does until the
he
next
didn't-
person comes by.
And he didn't tell me. And so the guy was, by the time I got to the window, the guy was already talking to the next person in line. Same energy. "Hey, welcome to McDonald's. What? Okay, I'll have you the one." And then he just stuck his hand out of the window and like did a little like fight me thing. And so I handed him $7. So I was like, it was a
Totally
small breakfast meal.
Yeah.
It's probably $7. The truth is, I'd gotten a large breakfast meal with an extra hash brown and an oatmeal.
So it was like $45.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I hand him $7. He takes it, presses some buttons, puts it in the cash register. The receipt prints. He tears it, just stares at it for like 3 seconds, and then hands me the receipt and goes, "All right, have a nice day." And so I took the receipt and I threw it in the center console, and I pulled up to the second window where I got my food, and I was like, "There's no way that not only my order came out to $7, but it came out to $7 exactly, because it didn't give me any change."
You were way
And so the receipt, the total was $9.59, and the total money, like the tender put in, was 14. Like he just pressed 2 buttons and pressed go.
What a
And so I
guy.
paid $7 for a,
But if he looked at the
9.5
receipt, he should have been of the opinion that you
He
were owed
looked
change.
at the receipt. No, he didn't owe me change because I was already underpaying.
So he knew that.
He knew.
But
'Cause he just took the money, threw it in there quite literally, pressed some buttons, printed the receipt, looked at it.
I mean,
Okay, here
he
you
probably
go.
just puts in more money and then is just like, we'll give them the change, whatever. It'll be fine in the system.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense.
You can't just give him the change that it's telling you to give, and it won't.
Because I didn't give him enough money for the actual order.
Well, no. Also,
Yeah, exactly.
if he does give him the right amount, and then he puts in that Jude gave him 14, and he gives him the change the system tells him,
That'll screw it up.
It will not balance because the computer will think he received 14 and you gave 5, so that it does balance. But he only received 9.
7.
No, I'm saying if
Yeah.
this is the situation where Jude does give the right amount. So if this guy does it all the time, and then the guy goes, "He gave me 14. Here's 5 back," because the system's telling to give 5 back, it won't balance out.
Yeah, but he doesn't give 5 back.
I know, which
Yeah.
means it also won't balance out because if Jude did give the right amount, he said,
Yeah. It
Or
won't balance
did you- I
out
mean, in this case,
either
did you
way,
give
and
him-
it didn't balance out
Okay.
in the real world.
Yeah.
If I gave him 14, or let's say the meal cost 14, and I gave him 14, he could say I paid with a $20 bill or a $100 bill.
Yeah.
Unless it's counting the literal bills, the same amount of money will be in there. But
Oh.
that's not what happened. It was $9.59. I gave him $7, and he just went, "All right, have a nice day." And
so
then I
he
was
knew
like,
when you handed him the
okay.
amount. I thought that you were saying he didn't even look at how much you gave him. And
He
just
took my
didn't-
money, he threw it in the thing, he pressed 2 buttons,
That's so
tore the
funny.
receipt off, looked at it, didn't give a care in the world, tossed me the receipt and said, "Have a good day."
That's so funny.
The guy was so dead inside. And then it was good.
Probably already gave us 2 weeks.
Yeah. He looked like he had nothing.
This was his last
this
day
job.
of his 2 weeks, and it's just whatever. So that was it?
Yeah, it was funny. I was laughing to myself in the van.
So basically, your on route with Jude was the fact that you
stole from McDonald's.
No, it was given to me. It was given me by
You knew
the-
what you were doing.
What?
You could have got to that next window and said, "Hey, I underpaid you by $2 and whatever."
Yeah. I'm on a timed schedule.
That's true.
And the receipt says I gave him $14.
That's a lie.
No, I didn't think it was the end of the world, and I had places to be.
Yeah, that's funny though.
Yeah, it was funny. I was chuckling to myself.
Yeah.
But that was the week has just started, so maybe next week I'll have something crazy, like running a semi truck off the road or something.
That would be really bad.
That would be
crazy.
actually pretty bad. I would never do that.
Well,
But
don't.
if I did,
Well, it wouldn't be on purpose. Because if it was on purpose,
That would be illegal
and psychotic
and morally wrong.
and illegal.
and psychotic.
He got it.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Levi? Anything interesting happen at work?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been stocking freezer.
Who's she?
Yeah, you wouldn't know her.
Stocking for
Yeah.
stocking.
Yeah, every time.
Dude, that's so
every time.
inappropriate. I would never joke like that.
But inside somebody stacked like really, really heavy ice cream on top of like a pallet that was just like drumsticks, like ice cream drumsticks. So they've got
Oh, I
those.
thought you meant real ones.
No. So you know, like those super flimsy boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what happened, what you would expect to happen happened, and the entire thing collapsed, and it all fell over. So massive mess in the freezer
When the store was open, or it happened while you were stocking?
while we were stocking. Okay. So it put us all behind. But anyway, we all go in, and it's three of us stacking fallen merchandise back onto the pallet while another guy's just going around in a circle, wrapping it with a bunch of plastic wrap so that it doesn't fall again. While the guy's going with the plastic wrap, the floor, there's like an inch of ice across the entire floor. In order for...
Why?
I don't know, because things
spilled
drip
water or something?
The ice cream was ice flavored, so
but like the entire floor is
Water-flavored ice
like the most slick surface ever, right? One of the guys brings in a pallet so that he can stand on the pallet while picking things off of the ground
Wise.
so he doesn't fall over. And I start standing on plastic wrap because it actually, surprisingly, that actually gives me traction.
like
You guys are
cellophane.
basically playing the floor is lava,
Yeah, basically.
but the floor is ice.
Yeah. And the guy that's going around in a circle, he's walking backwards in a slippery environment.
Moonwalking.
So what you expect happens.
He looks like Michael Jackson.
Yes, he looks exactly like Michael Jackson until he does what Michael Jackson never would have ever done.
Lived past 55.
His All right. His feet slip out from under him, falls right onto his back, just like full body, flat against the ground.
Dude, the sound that must have made.
Yeah, that was really.
It was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. It was so funny. I just started laughing.
Did he laugh?
I mean, he was totally fine.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, there was nothing
good.
wrong. He just got up, and then they were like, yeah, you should go and get a claim, an injury report and everything, and just like take the rest of the day off and stuff. And so he just leaves.
How hard did he hit his head?
He didn't hit his head at all.
Oh.
His back just fell completely flat, and he had a coat on. But it like his full upper body and lower body all hit at the same time, like
Still though.
distributing all of the weight.
That's the best way to fall.
Yeah.
When your legs propel forward, your feet go up, and the rest of your body goes down, so it cancels out, and you hit at the same time.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it was like the perfect fall, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm not hurting, but I'm gonna go try and get some time off."
Yeah.
And goes, fills out stuff or whatever. He's just gone for like hours after that. We're continuing. We're running a little bit behind.
You just totally not doxed him, but like, yeah, he was fine, but he said, "I'm not hurting. I'm gonna go get some time off."
Well, he could work.
I mean,
Levi could work
because
anywhere.
because
Levi
like
could work
with
anywhere.
these kind of things, you can hurt yourself, not really feel it at the time, and then like the next day,
Yeah.
Right,
you're just
right.
like
soft
my-
tissue.
yeah,
Yeah, what that soft tissue damage.
yeah. But
Those
then he
phantom
comes
injuries.
back like a few hours later, and he's like, "Yeah, they're not letting me go home." And I'm just like, I'm laughing.
They saw through
inside.
his clever disguise.
Yeah, I'm paralyzed from the neck down. He comes
Yeah,
wheeling
it was one
back.
of those phantom or soft tissue injuries. I was fine. I walked to the office, and then I couldn't move.
Yeah. So this is my life now. I live in a forklift. I can only move my arms. It would have been the only thing that could have made that better is if you caught him right as he fell, like in a bridle.
Like Prince Charming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, "No, you should have let me fall." So
And then
that
you
I
do
can
a
get time
bane
off."
and you break his back.
And then I just break his back
take
over my
time
knee.
off of this.
File workers comp.
I was born in the freezer.
You were merely broken by it.
You were merely broken by it. But
Oh, that's good.
yeah, that was yeah. Then so it was just me and the other guy that got everything else stacked up and wrapped up.
That's kind of lame.
Yeah.
You two had to just.
And while we were in there, like my beard, it all freezes. My nostrils all freeze.
All of your nostrils?
All of my nostrils.
Jeez.
I go outside and then just like runny nose because everything just starts to thaw.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
That is nasty.
But because I'm like sweaty all the time at work, I am so cold inside those freezers. It
I
is
can
so
imagine.
cold.
Oh, because you're like sweating, doing whatever you're doing before, and then you walk
And then I
into the
walk in
freezer.
and then it all just starts to
freeze.
freeze. Yeah. Yeah.
You walk out and you're as slick as the floor was.
Yeah.
you have like an
I go
armor
to
coating.
pick something off of the ground and then my shirt just
You're like Iceman.
You leave and you're like those cranberries that
more
get rolled
straight.
in sugar and then it hardens. So you've got this layer.
so you have that layer of ice around it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's funny. You guys both had like funny things happen this week at work, and
What did you have funny that happened at work?
Heat stroke?
yeah, that's kind of what I was going to get at. I mean, really nothing funny. Yesterday we were standing out in the sun at the Riverfront Park,
Dude, that was
like
not
102
cool.
degrees.
That's
Oh
fun.
yeah, and you were there.
Yeah.
Did you have a tent over you or something?
We did have a tent, but it didn't have walls.
When you're grilling hot dogs.
Yeah.
In the
and also it didn't really matter. I mean, it was so hot. But you know, it put the rest of the heat into perspective. So right now I feel kind of okay, even though I know it's like 97 degrees in here.
Yeah.
Because yesterday was
I'm dying.
awful. There's something about being in the sun when it's that hot that for whatever reason it quite literally just vaporizes the energy in your body.
Yeah.
You know, like it just sucks it out of you. And I sometimes I forget that, and then I go work a day in the direct horrible sunlight and you're like, "Oh yeah. This is the worst."
Yeah, after my like initial shift, if I'm working a long day, I'll go to the front end and they'll usually just send me outside to like do carts, just pulling carts back and forth from the parking lot.
Right.
And man, like the past week, every
Yeah.
time that I have to go out there, I'm just standing on asphalt and pushing carts back and forth.
Yep.
And then watching people bring them back out to their car. And it's
I can only imagine.
it's really sucky to see like the fruits of your labor just get reversed.
Yeah.
And you're just like a hamster on a wheel. Yeah.
That's why I always put the cart back.
Yeah, me too.
That's what separates
Oh yeah, those
villains from
Boys and men.
that's
boys
great.
to men.
That's what separates boys to
Boys-
men
boys
and
to
us.
What do
Yeah.
boys to men sound like? I was gonna do a bit, but I don't remember what they sound like.
I don't know, dude. Which one is boys to men? Is that the?
I'm pretty sure it's a.
They were just one of the
early-
boy bands, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an early.
They're not the like.
I want it. They're Backstreet Boys esque.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yeah.
They're
Dude, I
like
don't know.
in that same boat.
Yeah. Put the
I feel like our parents should know.
or not. That's what separates us, boys to men.
That's what they sound like. Kind of like
exactly
Michael
what it
Jackson. Yep, that was it.
No, but it's a great litmus test for people that can self-govern or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Have you seen the guy on YouTube who like
As the magnets.
brutally confronts people?
Yes.
And his whole thing, he drives around the country, and they're just videos of him like, "Are you gonna put your car back?" And like, he's in the right, but usually he gets into fights about it, and it's like,
doesn't sound
I mean,
like the right.
they're amazing, but well, I mean, he starts off being like, "Hey, put your cart back. You know, you're a menace to society."
Yeah, he starts off right. Put your cart back, or I'll make you.
No, usually he's like, or I'll put a bumper sticker or a magnet, on, your car that says, "I'm an animal. I don't put my car back," or something like that.
Cart crook. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's got a
Yeah, and
flag
he's
he
just
pins
like,
on people's cars.
Oh,
or a
you're
magnet.
you're
He
just
doesn't
a
actually do any damage.
big old bag of lazy bones.
Yeah.
And then they get out of their car and then they like
him
start
to
to
death.
hold up traffic, and then there's other people that get mad because everybody's just trying to get on
Yeah.
with their day.
It's
'cause
like
they're
one
in
of those
time
weird things.
crunches.
It's like, where do you draw the line?
Is
Like,
the net good being done more like? Is there any net good?
it makes for funny videos.
It does make funny watch
does.
video. I watch and I laugh.
He
but
made
then
it
you're
on
like,
Dr.
you're
Phil.
like, you lose yourself in the video, wondering like, okay, who should I be? Yeah, I thought it too. Who should I be rooting for here? Because you know what they did is, you're like, it's annoying. It's something everybody at a grocery store is like, oh, you didn't move your cart. I did. It's in my way, you know, whatever. And so you're like, oh, this guy is like a valiant warrior for what's right. He's going out and confronting people. But then it just devolves into him being like, I got you on camera for views, kind of
Yeah.
like, and then, you know, it's like,
And
well,
then they're-
I can't really root for either of these people, but
Creating a traffic jam in the
without
parking
feeling
lot.
like a scummy person.
One of the guys, my wife is pregnant. I'm trying to get to the hospital. Like, this guy didn't put his cart back. He needs to put his cart back.
Yeah.
My wife is
He's like, I don't care, deliver in the car.
Yeah. delivering his cart. How about, huh?
Yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah, no, it kind of begs the question though, like when fighting for what's right,
Is he really
what step
fighting
is
for
too
what's
far?
right? I don't feel
mean-
comfortable calling him a knight or valiant or
No,
fighting.
no,
for
no.
what's
I'm
right.
transitioning.
I see.
Wait.
You're
Do
transitioning.
tell.
No,
All right.
Weird
I-
segue, but tell us about
No,
your
no,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to transition the conversation from what we were talking about.
No, I'm
into-
transitioning.
This is the reveal. Eric.
Okay,
cut that out,
weird
cut that out,
time to
cut that
open up about it.
Dude, I hate that word is ruined.
Yeah.
No, what I was saying was I was trying to transition the conversation from this kind of joke that we're talking about to like, honestly, it begs the question, like, do we find ourselves trying to fight for what's right and then bleeding into being the problem? We talked about this a little bit with the alphabet community one where we said,
Like the Westboro Baptist.
I mean, there is that, right? That those really
Yeah.
extreme examples, but also when we were just talking about like trying to toe that line with talking to people, especially friends who find themselves in like the LGBTQIA colon 11 community, who like, what is that about?
I was just laughing.
Who we try and win the argument rather than win the soul, I think is the thing that was said, right? I don't know. I was just trying to kind of steer conversation.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that in the shower, and this is going to sound weird, but shower thoughts. I was thinking like, man, I get really annoyed with politics a lot of the time because it seems like there's a few people in the political world that are just kind of knuckleheads, and
Only a few.
only a handful.
I think I can count like 4.
Yeah, like a Titans handful of people.
Yeah.
Or like Andre the Giant's handful of people. But that's besides, that's a lot of
That
people.
might be too many, but
Yeah.
you're exaggerating a little bit.
So many people will say like, man, if they I don't know who I'm trying to do an impression of right now. They're like, man, if they could just see that, like,
So you entirely bailed.
yeah, I did. I didn't know who I was trying to be. They would just see, like, if they were Christian, they'd see why legally this just makes sense. Like, this is just better. This doesn't make sense to them, but through the Christian kind of worldview, you can see how this is just better. But then I see people who are of that mindset, which is true about a lot of things, fight politically instead of religiously. It's like people saying,
Well, I think. Go ahead.
Well, no, please do respond.
No, I'd rather you finish what you're saying before because I might contradict you, but then realize that when you finish what you're saying, I wasn't going to.
Oh, okay. It's just so many people, I feel like, are fighting like a weirdly political debate when I think they could make more progress just not focusing on the politics issue, but on the religious issue. Because it's like, this makes sense to me. Oh, this makes so much sense because I can see through the Christian worldview, I can see why this law will make sense. But then other people who aren't of the Christian worldview are looking at it and going, wah, 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 this law is dumb. And so you go, no, listen, this law is right.
Sometimes there are things that we can disagree on or whatever, and we can try and convince people that there are perfectly valid reasons to convince them both politically and spiritually.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
the example that comes to my mind is the whole Roe v. Wade thing getting overturned. That one is both. I mean, it was just bad law.
Yeah, no, I agree.
To be frank, but also from a Christian moral perspective, yes, we have this perspective on it that's like, well, clearly this should be the direction it goes in because it gives. Because in the long run, we hope to elect people who align with us morally, right, spiritually, and will put into action things that will stop abortions happening en masse, right? Like the murder of children. It's one of the single greatest issues globally in history. But I think politically as well, that whole issue, like there's a perfectly valid reason to make the argument that it was just bad law, and to try and speak to them on their terms, right? Like when people who are not Christians, who are of the other opinion, the like, oh, because this got overturned, women are going to die, which is ridiculous. Then you try and talk to them about it. If you start talking to them about the Bible, most times they're going to just shut down and they don't care.
No, I know.
But if you can try and convince them of the logical reasons why it makes sense, like politically, and why it was bad law, then
a political argument is not the place to bring up, like, oh, well, let me try and proselytize in this political argument with you. Like, that's never going to work. I acknowledge that.
What do you mean?
And
like what I'm saying?
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
But what you said was, well, you can do both, and that's true. But my problem is that I'm just seeing people abandon the religious aspect and fight solely as political warriors. And it's like,
I think it's because
you're a political warrior who's trying to make the laws more like the truth, the one truth, the Christian religion. But you're doing no work trying to spread the actual Christian religion. And could you make ground politically? Absolutely. But would you make more ground if more people, like, if politics wasn't the issue, if politics was the byproduct of people's religion, and if you could spread the religion, I just feel like a lot of energy is being wasted, not strictly on politics, but on the abandonment of.
No, you're right.
Kind of the thing where it's not winning the soul, but winning the argument. It's
the
like
abandonment of.
You're right in the argument.
The call of the believer.
Yeah.
Right. This great commission, and instead being like, well, because I'm a believer, I'm going to take up this mantle of. Almost being a missionary for like conservative politics rather than spreading the gospel.
Yeah, if you want to fight on the ground of pro-life, that's pretty impossible to fight on without a religious foundation.
Yeah. Well,
So, and that's more of a...
Definitely not, but that's what's so fundamental about it. I don't think it's impossible to fight a pro-life argument without religion.
No, I'm saying it's mostly impossible to fight that without having some base religious foundation, because you have no moral absolutes without religion.
I agree that in most cases, right, the unbeliever has no moral absolutes without God. Right?
And it comes down to a matter of convenience then. You could even acknowledge it is a human life, but it's severely more...
There are a lot of atheists who are pro-life as well.
I know, but their arguments aren't great, because everything boils down to, well, okay, even if it is a life... Like, this is a weird offshoot, but the problem with that is why atheism is kind of bogus, is that you have no foundation when it gets down to it, regardless of what you say. There's nothing there. So you can stand and you can say I'm pro-life on atheism, but when you boil it down to their justifications are going to be, it's a human life. Well, who cares?
Well, or their justifications will come from like, well, it's just what I believe, right? You get to this problem where, as an atheist, if you are pro-life, which is would be incredible. I mean, right? They are rare, but there is a whole group of them.
There's a lot of them.
You don't really have anything to back up what you're saying you believe in, right?
No,
Is that
because
your
the
point?
problem goes deeper than, okay, is it a human life or not? Even if they say yes, well, then why does that
Because there
matter?
is obviously scientific evidence and scientific proof to showcase these things, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of these atheists are, who are very pragmatic, very logical, just going, okay, they see through the whole ruse, and they're like, it's obviously convenience. What the entirety of the abortion argument is based on convenience, and you're being lied to by them, saying it's not about convenience, it's about health. When in actuality, like less than 1% are these edge cases of health concerns, right?
No, nobody cares about health.
It is a convenience argument, and then if you bring those things up, right, then
If you say, okay, granted, we allow it for these horrible extraneous situations,
there's
everyone
these
knows what
horrible
we're talking
extraneous
about.
situations that are always brought up in these arguments where it's like, well, what about this? And then you go, okay, let's for a second pretend, like I agree with you. Let's say we allow those edge cases. That
How
are
about
less
the
than
rest of the
1%
99.1% of cases?
How about the rest of the 99.1% that still happen? Because those ones aren't those edge
Yeah.
cases. Then they have nothing to
Then
say.
they go, well, no, okay, well, then your
Then that
issue
means
is
your
really
issue
not on
is
the
you
extraneous
want the
cases.
convenience of just terminating a life because you made a mistake or you did something that you didn't really want.
Yeah. It's kind of a silly
And so you have these atheists too, right, who don't have this moral ground. The majority of their life is built on sand because in most cases it falls apart when when confronted. But they are reaching a conclusion that we would agree with, but it's not built off of anything that is substantial, right?
When I said that, it was just to say there are also more gray area political issues. Like that's a huge one, and that's one that I have no problem being very obvious and honest about. But then there are these kind of ambiguous gray area laws that aren't so black and white, like the life of a literal child, that people are like, no, I think this reflects a Christian, but you're just fighting on the politics of it and not actually, well, what if I could actually get more people to come to the faith? Then maybe they'd feel the same way.
What do you
Because
mean? Give me an
your
example.
religion should affect your politics, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so tired of also the people that are like in Christian circles.
They have no problem taking a matter of and I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but people will, I believe in the gift of tongues. Well, I don't. Oh, let's talk about that. Hey, I believe in this political
I believe in building a wall.
legislature
or whatever.
Well, I don't. Oh, you're not a Christian.
That's not what I was going to say. What I was
that
going to say
happens
is
all the time.
the idea that churches shouldn't talk about politics.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so ridiculous to me. Because they do, politics 100%. I think what you're saying is true. It shouldn't become this thing that is
a salvation
because
issue.
It could become an idol, right? Is kind of what you're getting at too. It sounds almost like politics are the thing that's much
Comes
more important to
before
you.
the religion.
It comes before God in your life, and that's the danger. But I do think that it should be talked about, right? Because our faith should inform our life, and part of our life is voting. Part of our life is participating.
As free Americans.
As free Americans, yeah.
Dude, the little finger guns. And
And we got some friends over, I don't know if they're friends. There are some other people that aren't free in their nation.
wait, what are you referencing? Oh, people that listen to the podcast?
Oh, they probably don't listen to the podcast. I was just saying there are
we
some
have some
nations
people
where
that
your
listen to the
vote
podcast. They're like-
might not matter, where maybe it might be all just a big ruse.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some certain,
We do have some people from North Korea
they make
listening.
great food.
No, China. So
And it's crazy the time, this is a profound time in history, that we actually have places that are democracies that your vote can actually make a difference.
Yeah.
Because it's always been such dictatorships, monarchies,
Yeah.
or even our republics and democracies, it was just for the elite
Yes.
that were controlling it.
And
Well,
the best of
like
those
what you're
countries
saying-
is so young.
we also have examples where it's working and where it's not working.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like where you can look
100%.
side by side and be like, oh, a bunch of the rest of the world has tried to catch up to us in what they're trying to do, but you can see where they didn't fully commit, and so you're seeing where it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Usually it's
And-
where people aren't going the Democratic Republic and they're just going
just
straight
going straight
democracy, and it's like, there's a reason we have a...
Or it's just a ruse, right? Which
Yeah,
is just,
that's kind of
something
talking about,
straight.
like,
Yeah, it's very interesting. Where did we end up on this topic then? Where are we at? We kind of started talking about how trying to fight the good fight can become an issue, right? And I don't know where we really ended
Well, I've got
up.
kind of a soapbox issue.
Go for it.
Oh, I had a really good idea, a way of saying it in my head like 2 minutes ago, and I'm grasping at straws to get it back.
Yeah, do you want
But
us
I
to just
think
come
it went
back?
something like this, and I'm going to keep speaking,
Until
and
it
it's
comes
going to
in.
come right out.
All right.
All right, go.
You stop speaking. That's your
I
problem.
did stop speaking, and
After saying I'm going to keep speaking, you stop speaking. You didn't say
Immediately.
a word after that.
oh,
Yeah.
politics are not a salvation issue,
Okay.
and I get really frustrated because people make them a salvation issue.
That's
And then
well
people will kind of argue with that, and they'll say, "Well, what about like the abortion thing?" And then
It's not a salvation issue.
it's not a salvation issue, but then
It is
you
spiritual.
They say, "Well, you've got some serious things to rectify if you're a Christian, but you're okay with killing an unborn child."
Well,
Because at that point, the argument is not, and the argument rarely is, "Hey, do we want these restrictions or this?" It comes down to, is it a human life or not? And then it's no longer a political argument. That's like a moral, much bigger than politics, but it gets wrapped up in politics. And so people will say, "Oh, no, but this is important. This is kind of like a religious issue." It's like, no, the politics aren't. When you're talking about what is and isn't a human life, we're outside the range of politics now. Now we're dealing with like human beings, and the spirit. And I hate when that gets wrapped up into politics. So then people can't say, "Well, no, this needs to be a religious thing." It's like, no, because you're saying the politics need to be, and it doesn't.
I'm confused.
Yeah,
You
fair.
said a lot of words.
I did say a lot of words.
I don't know what you mean when you say getting wrapped up in the politics of it. What does that term mean by saying the politics?
The literal legislation.
Okay. I still don't get it.
Oh, okay.
When you're like, it's a moral issue, but people get wrapped up in the politics of it. So you're saying like people are having an argument about morals, and then they get wrapped up talking about whether or not it should be law.
I don't like when people make politics a salvation issue, and politics shouldn't be a salvation issue.
Okay, like to imply that if
If
you're
you
And then
talking
people
about
will
politics, you're
say-
saying you're not saved because you believe this.
Yes,
Oh,
and people
that's-
will
yeah.
say, in argument of what I just said, "Well, what about something as stark as this?"
Implying that what if
Abortion.
you believe abortion's okay,
Yeah.
you're not saved?
And they're
I've never heard
touting,
somebody say that.
and they're touting abortion as this political issue when their entire argument revolves around whether or not an unborn child is human life or not, and they're touting it as a political issue when really it's more than that.
Right. I've seen some of that kind of energy, I guess, online more than anything. Like you'll see people like in a Christian group on Facebook or something, and somebody makes an offhanded remark or just like a very matter-of-fact remark about abortion being wrong. And then somebody in the comments says that they disagree, and then every reply is like, you're not... this kind of thing, like, if you believe that abortion is okay, how could you call yourself a Christian?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Like that kind of thing?
Sure.
Well, no, don't just say sure. Is that what you're saying? Is
Yeah,
it-
sure.
Okay. And then I guess I get what you mean.
Okay.
Nice.
Did you get where you wanted to go with that?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to ruin it. I was just confused.
No, that's all
honestly.
I'd say.
Jumped right off that soapbox.
I did.
Yeah, you stood
Well, I
up
said
on it.
everything I had on my little piece of notes.
Yeah, if what I think you're saying is what I think you're
I
saying,
think you are.
Then yeah, it is important as believers that we make sure that we don't turn these issues that I think are really important. Because when you look at, I guess the issue that we talked about this whole time is abortion, but like when you look at something like that, it is the killing of millions and millions and millions of lives, right? It's the ending of millions of lives. And so, if I remember correctly, I could definitely be wrong about the specific number, but when that thing got overturned, I was watching somebody talk about it, and he was like, I think he said 60 million children or whatever that were killed that led up to this were, maybe it was 6 million. I don't think it was. I think it was 60 million. He was like, this is justice for them, right?
Yeah.
Because this is just one step closer to abolishing something terrible. But no, all of that to say, I think this issue is one that's like really important, and so it should 100% be talked about. It should 100% be treated sincerely or treated seriously. But it's still important as believers that we don't get caught up in it and start accusing other believers who may just, who disagree with you and therefore may be wrong, at least from your opinion, which I would say they are wrong, right? But we don't start attacking them and saying that they're not saved. Is that the point? Dude, what
That you're
shut
making?
down, dude?
That you're making? Or that I was making?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the point I was making.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, then I 100% agree. I mean, be more careful, right? Because, if you... Yeah, there's also a lot of small issues. I was talking to somebody online today who had somebody accuse them of saying that they weren't going to be going to heaven because they listened to 70s rock music.
Oh.
And that's kind of to me, it's kind of comical, but it reminded me that these I might have made a joke. If we were talking about what we were just talking about, I might have made a joke kind of like if you listen to rock music, you're not going to heaven. But It reminded me, talking to this guy today, that no, there are Christians who earnestly believe that if you listen to 70s rock music, you're not going to heaven.
Yeah, which currently makes up a large catalog of what I've been listening to.
Well, you're not going to heaven.
There you
Well,
go.
Going straight
it's
to
not
hell.
going to happen.
But no, there are people out there, these dogmatic, stuck in the 50s kind of, right? That's what the person that talked to me about it, they were really distraught because they're like, I feel like a lot of Christians are stuck in the 50s. Which, I think there are some that, I guess that's a way you could put it. But, I guess, how do you talk to those people? You just have to, it's so hard because you can, the easiest thing to say is just like, well, you know what? I think this is 100% a non-essential Christian doctrine. It's a non-essential thing, whether or not what type of music you listen to or whatever, which we've talked to ad nauseum on this podcast about the content that we, the media that we allow it to influence us. But I don't think we've never said that, that negative media that we've warned ourselves against in talking on this show. We've never been like, yeah, you better stop watching Game of Thrones,
Or else
Levi,
you're going to
or
hell.
you're going to hell, right? We've actually
Yeah.
said the opposite. We've clarified when talking about the media we consume and how we should
You
be
need
careful.
to watch it to go to heaven.
No. We talked about how it doesn't save us, or it doesn't mean the opposite, right?
Yeah.
However, we should want to better ourselves. We should want to be more careful. We should
Only
want
ingest
to
media that's
conduct
conducive
ourselves.
to growing. Yeah.
What would be nice? So, I've got a big family, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them, so my, granddad and all of his siblings, there were 12 of them. They were all raised going to this one church.
Yeah.
And then they all reformed, split up into different churches. So we would have we still do, have big family gatherings. And, the big things, don't talk about politics or religion.
Religion?
Yeah,
Even
because
amongst a group of them that are Christians.
yes, because they're all they've all kind of walked into their own denominations,
differences.
and so they have their own differences for their religion. But it's not because of just we don't want to talk about it because we're scared of talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just we don't want to have shouting matches going on, and we don't want to have all the older people telling all the young people that they're just going to go to hell because of whatever they're taking part in or whatever.
I identify with a lot of older people on moral issues, a lot of 65 plus people, right? Is that a weird way of saying that?
I don't think so.
Oh, you give me a weird look. No,
Well, you said I identify as. So
oh, right, another phrase that's ruined.
Yeah.
So, no, a lot of real conservative, both conservative Christian ideals, right? Well, no, my point is if they want to is persuade the wrong word to use? I don't know. If they want to convince younger Christians, man, the way of doing it is not that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yelling
But
at them that they're going to
that's
hell.
what I'm talking about. So we have that rule at our family gatherings, and I know that some of my family are probably listening to this, but
And you're the problem.
no, and I don't think that should be that shouldn't be something that you have to like uphold, because
Banning those discussions?
yes,
Yeah.
because like some of those discussions do happen.
Yeah,
Like
some of them need to happen.
yeah, and but the thing is, we don't go too in depth, because then you start seeing the differences.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem isn't with the topics that are being discussed.
Oh, yeah.
It's about the way that discussion and debate is happening.
100%,
Because
yeah.
everybody just starts attacking each other.
Yeah.
And then feel like the other person is attacking you personally and not your, like, the way that you're believing this one thing or whatever.
Or someone does start attacking someone.
Or does someone does, and then you just react in kind, because that is the base instinct for
There's no subject matter that only by merit of the subject matter divides people. It is the people, quite literally.
Yeah, it's
like there is there's no way to go about it. There is no subject matter that in and of itself, an incorporeal concept,
because like I
that
can hang out with atheists
causes
all I want.
division.
Jesus did.
no.
Yeah. No, well, there shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
No, there shouldn't be, and there really isn't. But people,
people
and
act
people
as though
will
sometimes
argue.
there is.
But I mean, there is no subject matter that, by merit of the subject matter itself, divides people. It is the people that divide themselves.
But
and people need to learn
that
not
is such
to.
a, like right now, huge cultural thing is that there are these ideas that, or there's this idea that there are specific subject matters that those, even the idea of recognizing their existence is like is horrible, right? Like that's what's changed so much in comedy and like what's changing with our like culture right now is that you have these things that are just off limits. And then you'll have those same people that say they're off limits that say things like, you know, one of my favorite things about comedy is that in the face of even recent tragedy, comedy about that tragedy is a way to deal with tragedy, which I would agree with. What I'm saying is I was listening to something recently about they had the cast of Critical Role in it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I've talked about them before, about how it's sometimes hard for me to listen to that show, which I love, because they will like dive so far into the deep end on politics. But like they do that. They dive. Dude, why, man?
I misplaced it.
Still, though, you've been like banging on the table this whole episode.
I've not been banging on the table this
How
whole
dare you.
episode.
A little bit.
What? There's no little bit. I've been banging on the table this whole episode.
just-
a little bit.
Like Martin Luther King. Yeah.
Wait, Martin Luther King?
That's not who I meant to say. Who's the one that
Junior?
Who's the one that Dwight emulates?
Mussolini?
Oh my God! First off, did you mean Martin Luther King Jr.?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you said Martin Luther King, who stapled the thesis.
But you were thinking about Mussolini.
Dude, that's a journey.
You're like
Said
Martin Luther King, banging on the Catholic Church.
meant Martin Luther King Jr., but actually was wrong
Mussolini.
and meant Mussolini.
Yeah.
Forget everything. What was I saying?
Sudabini. You were watching the cast of Critical Role.
Oh, they were just
Yeah.
talking about. It's funny because it's just really funny statement to hear them say. One of them was saying that he loves comedy in the face of tragedy because it is a real way to deal with tragedy. Because he was talking about death in his family and how in real life. Oh, the thing that he said that I thought was so interesting was that that death, especially death in family, is the most
Comedic thing to.
well, it's the most equalizing thing. It's the most polarizing or whatever thing because it makes everything like wonky. Like in the recent light of like tragedy, real tragedy, like death in the family, it makes real world regular things comedic. Because then you like, oh no, my dad died today, right? And then, well, you still have to go take a poop that day. And then you're thinking about like, man, I can't believe I'm pooping the day my dad died. Like these normal human functions, or you're like stuck in traffic on your way to work, and you're like listening to One Direction on the radio or something. You're like, man, I'm listening to One Direction on the day my dad died. right? It just makes like all these normal things. Not listening in One Direction is normal or not normal. I don't care, but like whatever it is, I just thought it was a funny.
Well,
thing.
if you're listening to One
Because
Direction
he hits it.
in 2022, that's not
true.
normal.
But he 100% hits the nail on the head, I think, because like the day that our grandpa died, I was thinking, I remember still going to work that day, and everything you do that's normal feels not normal now at that point, because you have this thing that's looming over it. And I think it is this kind of, this interesting thing, is it's one of the only things that does that to normal function. But I don't know. I was just listening to this thing. He was saying this, and I thought it was interesting. And then he turned around by going, yeah, and he goes, I just think that what's beautiful about comedy is you can joke about horrible atrocities even right after they happen. And that's a way of dealing with them. And I think it should be appropriate. But these same people that are saying this are people that are like
canceling people.
They vilify, like, what's the guy?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle and people like that.
Yeah.
Who I think are some of the best examples of doing it.
Ricky
like
Gervais.
doing it, but doing it like
Ricky Gervais, Dave
thoughtfully.
Chappelle, Bill Cosby.
Thoughtfully. No, they do it in a way that's like
tasteful.
Tasteful is what I was
Maybe.
looking for. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they vilify these people, and then these same people are sitting here on the couch going like, "Man, I love comedy because you can joke about like atrocities, and it's valid because it's a way of dealing with it." And I was just like,
Yeah.
Who are you?"
But if you joke about the wrong atrocities,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that came out of, we were talking about how
yeah, Jude's banging on the table. Just for the audio listener, that was Levi. No, that was me.
we're talking about how certain things, right, just become off limits, and it shouldn't be that the subject matter is the issue. It should point to the fact that you have an issue and you need to be better. You need to be better at, or at the very least, recognizing when you're not and apologizing for it, right?
Yeah.
Especially with our family.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to derail what you were saying, Levi. I apologize.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like that is like the reason for that rule for like family events.
Yeah.
Because that's a common thing with a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah, I can
family
imagine.
like gatherings.
It's almost always broken.
Yeah, it gets broken, but like that's like, oh, hey, you're gonna be here, but just you can't bring up religion or politics, just to like try and keep everything clean.
Copacetic.
Yeah, so there's no blood feuds
Or bloodshed.
or bloodshed.
Heaven forbid.
But
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like the problem isn't the subject material; it's all about the way that arguments are going on.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe not even just like the navigation of the subject matter.
yeah.
Yep.
Maybe it
And-
doesn't always have to be an argument.
But I feel, it doesn't have to be an argument.
Yeah.
And, but I feel like if people can like come to like learn how to like de-escalate situations and just be able to talk about things, I think that would solve a lot of problems with like having the politics issue in churches and
Agreed.
discussions. Like, I mean, we can't like preach to both sides because only our side is really going to listen to us preaching because we're Christians. So like we can't help the other side, but we could certainly help de-escalate situations.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really important.
I think there's an equal effort by every political person to just vilify the other side, which regardless of what you believe, even when it comes to the
Even
pro-life, pro-choice debate.
even the people that are like, oh, it's wrong to vilify the other people, but then they're like, oh, they vilified us? Oh,
Unless you believe
we
this.
can vilify them
Yeah,
now.
we can't vilify.
Well, what if they are villains?
Like, unless they are literal mustache twirling.
I saw a sign in somebody's yard
Yeah.
that was like the voting thing, and it's vote for Democrat or vote for Nazi party. And it's just like,
No,
wow,
that's a bit of a straw man.
That's very like they're
Sensationalist.
Coming to,
Well, yeah, I mean, they're representing the opposition in a way that they know will get people to never be able to say that they're going to go the other way. Oh, wait, if my options are
If I'm not a Democrat, that
left-wing
means
What blows
politics
my mind is
or
that
being
if they
one of
believe
Hitler's
that
cronies.
genuinely, if they believe that's the Nazi party, okay, there are literally only two ways you can go about this. Do you want to solve it legitimately politically, if you're opposition to the Nazis, Or do you want World War II?
Exactly.
Do you want warfare?
Yeah.
Do you want to extinguish the
what I want.
Nazis
'Cause
through
that's-
countless lives? Or hey, what if we could do it politically? Actually.
Hey, what
Yeah.
if we could have stopped the Nazi Party before it started?
There you
Or
go.
before
That's
it got
crazy.
violent.
Yeah.
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 Well,
like when it was just ideology.
Because even the Nazi ideology.
How would you
was
stop
kind
it before it started if you don't know it's coming?
No, that's the whole
of-
thing. We do know.
you
it's
prevent the ideology.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's why, like, the sentiment, I think it's a common bumper sticker, but it's like, punch a Nazi, have a good day. It's like something like,
yeah, yeah.
punch a Nazi, have a nice day.
Punch a Nazi, you ride a cowboy.
Yeah, exactly.
Punch a Nazi, right.
But like, even that
Save a
sentiment,
horse, punch a Nazi.
it's
That's
the
what I'm saying.
idea that, like, hey, I don't like Nazis. I'm going to preface the rest of this with, I don't like the Nazi ideology. I think it's a little
You
bogus.
should leave.
Oh, but no, like the literal idea that there's two ways to navigate this politically or through literal warfare, and we're choosing the warfare option.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Can we take a step
Even
back
though-
and go? Let's say they are Nazis.
Yeah.
Are we trying to get to World War III? Like, do we want another world war where
Yeah.
countless innocent people on both sides die?
Well, those people that you would ask that, question of would say, well, we're already there. It is World War III.
Yeah, but then I would just look at them and go,
it's-
I feel
serious?
like one more line of conversation with that person,
Yeah.
and you can pretty quickly derive, are you going to be able to have a meaningful conversation?
Well,
Or is
that's
this
my point.
person?
Is if you're
it's-
seeing the person
it's gonna
with
be
that sign, in
disingenuous.
most
Yeah.
cases, I've found that it is not one that you will have a meaningful conversation.
I think you can always have a meaningful conversation.
Well, what were you just saying then? That like, you would then derive.
Well, you could
that
have a
can't.
meaningful monologue, but
you
it's not always
Well,
going to be a
monologue.
conversation back and forth.
You can tie them up in rope.
I was
and
going to say,
then-
with enough duct tape, you can always have a
No,
meaningful monologue.
What I'm
Here's
saying
my
is,
plan.
it might be meaningful from your point of view, like what you're saying
Yeah.
to them, but they're not gonna always interact in a way that will actually like prolong this. So it's
To
just
you.
your own, or to them.
Or yeah, but that's
Well,
the
I mean,
idea of
biblically,
everything.
too. I mean,
it's like
I guess-
planting
we are
seeds
talking-
spiritually.
I was just about to say, yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
about politics, but like at the same time, some of us are called to just be the ones who will continue to water, and somebody else will see the harvest,
yeah.
right?
At a Bible study, I was just at one of the guys was talking
You don't
about.
always have to win or
He-
get to the point where we go, oh, finally you get it. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just about being gentle, being appropriate, being tactful, and speaking truthfully to people, and so that you can be confident knowing they heard it, and then we move
or
on.
that you just did it.
That you
'Cause
did
at
it.
the
You
Bible
took the
study, this
opportunity.
guy that was talking was like, I had literally like months on end meeting with this person and talking to them and saying,
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying for you. And it was always an argument. It was always like, but I don't get this. And then it was just these constant conversations. And eventually the person called them and they're like, they had remembered nothing, none of the subject matter or the material, but they said, but you never gave up on me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I understand maybe it is only meaningful
And then
to
they're
you.
in a place to hear it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They will get there, even if it's not meaningful to you, even if you never get to see the seeds grow. I do think you can always have a meaningful conversation.
I agree.
All right.
It's
Because
just
if you remember it in that way, then it was meaningful.
Yeah.
If you acted correctly, if you acted like with maturity, right?
Yeah.
And this is something
maturity.
Sorry, with
Mature.
maturity.
No, I wasn't even correcting you. I was just being a bum.
No, act with maturity.
No, I was going to
Then,
say if you didn't.
gosh dang it, I don't remember what I was saying. No, it's something I have to remind myself of often when I once in a blue moon actually catch myself going too far. Not to say that I don't go too far. Usually if I go too far,
Every
then I
day.
don't catch myself.
Every time I have an interaction with you, you always go too far. You're
Yeah.
the one to go too far.
But when I do, you have to remind yourself to be like, oh, I might not be able to see the win here. Like, I just got to stop. I just got to stop because it's getting cyclical. It's getting to the point where it is getting to personal, whether you are getting personal or they're getting personal. And it's like, oh, I might actually do more to, quote unquote, win this argument by stopping it rather than just fighting it.
Because you can hurt your argument more just by
100%.
becoming hostile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you're not changing the quality of your, like, of the things that you were saying, but if you're doing it in a hostile way.
Yeah, by becoming the enemy, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about this before, but like when I talked to one of my old friends on Instagram about, I mean, it was the Roe v. Wade thing, and he had done something that I was like, dude, this is terrible. And he had said something that I really disagreed with. And well, it was more than just saying something, but still, like I talked to him about it. And then when it was very clear that at this point in the discussion, the argument was going to become just personal, right? And he made it very clear that that was the case. Then I was like, oh, well, I'm going to do no good because I'm not going to be able to respond to things that aren't personal. I mean, I can, but he's responding in personal attacks. So I was like, okay, well, if I continue to be loving and be firm that I disagree with him, and then I end it here, then maybe in the future I will see that was meaningful. And if I don't, it's just as fine because I know that I did what I could and I was loving. And then hopefully someday in the future somebody else has a similar conversation with him and he's more willing and more open. I don't have many examples. I wish I had more examples, I should say, of myself acting in that way because we should. But yeah. Got real quiet, Jude. Staring off into space.
I'm listening. You were making a good point.
Out.
I guess I just usually expect something from you.
Jeez.
Something more.
Like
Dude.
something more.
Sometimes you actually make a point.
Ouch.
And sometimes
In a way,
it's
you
a
were
good
complimenting
point.
me, but
Wow,
you were
we were
100%
just
putting me
talking about not personally
No,
attacking
it's just
each other.
you make a really good point.
I was
Jeez, you got
just-
real quiet,
Dude, I was just joking.
Dude, I'm
because
sorry.
sometimes you
There's
like
sweat dripping off my eyelid.
Dude, I was just joking because sometimes you will like look at me and like nod. But when I looked over, and I thought I was making a decent point, and I looked over and you were just staring at the table, slack jawed, not blinking. And it was funny.
It's very hot.
Yeah,
you made a
it's very
really
hot.
good point.
He was watching the sweat drip off of his eyelid.
Ugh. Watching it. Mm-hmm. So it's just this big mass in front of his eye. No, I wanted to, I don't know how much this is related now to what we're talking about right now, but earlier it made more sense. But James 3:9, actually, no, wait. Yeah, James 3:9 says, with the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. That made more sense earlier, based on what we were talking about. But I didn't have a good time to interject, and I didn't want to interrupt, even though I probably already did. And then verse 10, out of the same mouth comes praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be, right? So we didn't 100% talk about like the conduct of our language necessarily, but at the same time, when you are talking with people, especially when you are talking to people about what's important, be of good conduct, right? Be loving, be gentle, and be tactful, and stand by what's right. Don't compromise in a way that makes you decide. Makes you present what you believe to be right as something different now, so that the fight will end. But end it when it does get personal, and be tactful.
And there is a time for argument. There's a time for analytical discussion.
Of course.
And it's very important, like the verses say. When you engage in that, you become a member of the team you're on, and your whole team is behind you, but you're at the mic. And so if you get carried away and you start, even if you're on the right team, and you start acting a fool, you just made your entire team look bad.
Yeah.
Even if you're making the right point, if you're doing it with hostility, not in care for the person, but only for the sake of winning, you're making your whole team look like a bunch of doofuses. And
We're the
it's
ambassadors.
solely,
Or you're just presenting the whole team in this way.
it sullies the entire.
Yeah.
We're the ambassadors of the body of Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
abandoning politics, right? That's the whole point. If you are representing Christ to people, be of good conduct. Way to go. That was the word I was looking for earlier, and I couldn't think of it.
Good
Ambassadors.
conduct?
No, ambassadors. That's why when Levi brought it up, I was like, oh, yes, thank you. Yeah. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about, I guess? Hey, we did it. We had a discussion where we kind of flew into it without a whole lot of direction, and we ended somewhere I think that was decent.
There's some turbulence. Yeah.
There's some turbulence.
I mean, there's always turbulence.
I mean, I
even
got
when
stuff
we
to talk
try
about.
direction.
But it's about AI and photos.
You said you have another topic you want to talk about?
Well, I can keep talking. I can talk about some AI generated photos that are crazy right now.
There are some really
Maybe we
crazy
save
stuff,
it.
but-
Maybe we save it.
Yeah.
I will write down Jude's AI photos.
And write job culture. I'll know what it means.
You probably won't. You're going to say that now?
You're not going to know what it means tomorrow.
Hey, audio listener.
I'm going to write
I
down.
just winked.
Write down job culture. I'll know what it means. And then I think you'll know what it means.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Asterisk. Jude winks. Asterisk.
I'll know what it means. Trying to write fast because this is probably boring. Okay. All right.
Cool.
If there's nothing else, thank you all for listening. We love you very, very much. We'll see you later.
Roll that outro.
I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
That's a good one.